come before you today and just talk to you about my trip as I went out west this last month. And I want to share with you not only some pictures, I'm going to show in the background a slow motion video. And it'll start off with the rim of the Grand Canyon, the north rim. And it's beautiful up there. There was snow, there was evergreen. It's not what I typically expected to see when I've seen so many other pictures of the Grand Canyon, just really kind of a desert land. Well, definitely it is a wasteland, but there was a lot of life and greenery all the way up to this top rim. And I'll show that to you today. And with that, I'm also going to share with you Psalms 49 and just talk about that in this small, short devotional. So let's get started as we look into Psalm 49 as David writes here. It says here, "Hear this, all you people. Listen, all who live in this world." And so this psalm is written to everybody, not to just the Jewish believers, but to everybody. It is a recognition of who God is and that all creatures, great or small, rich or poor, are all part of God's creation. And as we look over at the Grand Canyon, we get an idea of the vastness of how mighty God is. So he says here, "Hear this, all you people. Listen, all you who live in this world, both low and high, both rich and poor alike. My mouth will speak words of wisdom. The meditation of my heart will give understanding. So therefore, listen. I will turn my ear to a proverb. With a harp, I will expound my riddle." And so David puts in a psalm to song his expression as he sees it. As we pick up in verse 5, it says, "Why should I fear when evil days come, when wicked deceivers surround me?" Now, of all people, David can really say, well, with assurance, that there is no reason for us to be afraid. He knows what it's like to go into the vast lands, into the wilderness, to be hiding away from Saul, and not just for a short time, not for one experience where he just barely gets by and God rescues him, but time and time again, David gives testimony as his life has shown him. There is no reason for him to fear when evil days come, when the wicked deceivers surround him. He knows what it's like. He's given testimony to us, to everybody in the world, that it isn't just him because he's special in God's sight, but we are all special in God's sight when we put our trust in him. Verse 6 says, "Those who trust in their wealth, those who boast in their great riches," well, guess what? They have nowhere to trust. No one can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for them. In other words, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much wealth you have, when death comes knocking at your door, none of that will make a difference. And when there are those who surround you who are seeking to take your life, again, your riches and your wealth will do no value for you. Verse 7, "No one can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for them." Though you can be a king and you will have people who will line up and say, "I will fight for you. I will give my life for you." David recognizes that no one can redeem another man's life, but only one. If man cannot do it, then God must. Verse 8, "The ransom for a life is costly. No payment is ever enough." So, as verse 9 states, "So that they should live on forever and not see decay. No one can pay that price. For all can see that the wise die, that the foolish and the senseless also, leaving their wealth to others." So as we look into the scriptures, we realize that David is speaking, as we all know, the reality of life, that the wise will die, the foolish will die, those who have money will leave it behind, and those who, have none, they can take, nothing with them either. The tomb will remain their house forever, their dwelling for the endless generations, though they had named lands after themselves. You know, while we were on vacation, we listened to a podcast, and the podcast was rather interesting. It was about a man who had really come to great wealth because he was propagating a new generation of electric trucks, or trucks that would be able to run efficiently. And so he got a lot of money, a lot of backing, and he named companies and so on and so forth. But no matter how rich you are, no matter if you can name lands after yourself, and there are many lands and many streets that we see are named after rich people, there's nothing that can redeem them in and of themselves. Well, people, despite their wealth, do not endure. They are like the beasts that perish. This is the fate of those who trust in themselves and of their followers. Destined to die, death will be their shepherd, but the upright will prevail over them in the morning. As we drive around in Branch County, we see all over the road, we see roadkill. The beast of the field. We see what happens when we drive by the first time, let alone a week or two later, we see the body decay. And David is saying the same thing. As he would go out into the wilderness and he would see animals that had recently died, he would pass by. Even a year later, he would see the remains, and he makes this connection that we will all be like this, like beasts. People, despite their wealth, do not endure. They are like the beasts that perish. This is the fate of those who trust in themselves. And he makes a very big distinction between those who trust in their wealth, those who trust in themselves, or those who will trust in God, their Redeemer. As this goes on, it says, their form will decay in the grave, far from their princely mansions. Verse 15, but God will redeem me from the realm of the dead. He will surely take me to himself. So David has assurance that when this life is over, when he is gone to the grave, God will take him from there. He will redeem him, and he will bring him to himself. Verse 16, do not be overawed when others grow rich, when the splendor of their houses increase. For will they take nothing with them when they die? Their splendor will not descend with them. So as David says here, look at those. You see those who are prospering. Don't worry. You have a better inheritance. You have an eternal inheritance. And they can take nothing with them to the grave. And they will take nothing with them when they stand before God. But we, those who trust in God as their Redeemer, well, guess what? God has prepared a mansion, as Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there you may be also. For will take nothing with them, and when they die, their splendor will not descend with them. Though while they live, they count themselves blessed, and people praise you when you prosper. Isn't that the truth? Do not people congratulate you when you've gotten a new job, when things have gone well? And we should. But we also need to put it in perspective that these things end with this life. As we continue here, verse 19, they will join those who have gone before them, who will never again see the light of life. People who have wealth but lack understanding are like the beast of the field. And that is the most important part, as David lays it all out, that we're all going to die, that we do not need to worry. Why? Because if we are rich in God, if we put our trust in him, no matter who we are, if we are rich or we are poor, if we are rich towards God, we will in the end not be like the beast that shall perish and be left to rot, but we shall be taken with God to his heavenly mansion. As Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a short picture of going up to the northern rim of the Grand Canyon, looking out over that majestic area. and then being able to travel back down. I'll continue on with Psalms 50 in a short devotional, and we'll pick up probably with some videotape of, well, going to Zion National Park. And I tell you, you'll be amazed when you see how God just explodes in this creation of Zion Park. All right, well, God bless you, friends. I'm glad you're able to join me today, and we will see you tomorrow.